Hi and welcome to personal statement video number 2, tips and tricks on brainstorming. In this video for personal statement brainstorm, I will go over the system that I have developed. I will go a little bit more in depth into that about what questions and topics you should include in brainstorming. And then we'll finish it up with how to effectively use this system in order to outline once you have selected your specific prompts that you are choosing to answer for your college applications. Now, just like with any writing assignment, you need to go through the writing process. As annoying and lengthy as that might seem, it really does pay off because it makes your work much better. And it also, in the end, will save you time and frustration. So I'm going to break this writing process down into 3 layers. Layer 1 is going to be the brain dump, which is the system that we will go over. Layer number 2 is then to use that brain dump to create your outline. So I'll go over layers number 1 and 2 this video, and then in the next video I will go over layer number 3, actually writing it, which is, if you do layer number 1 and number 2, the easiest part. So what system should you use in brainstorming for your personal statement? Layer number 1. I really suggest a brag sheet brain dump, and I'll go ahead and show an example on the next slide. You want to keep a running Google Doc of this, something that you are constantly updating, and not just senior year when you're starting to apply, but freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, because although 4 years might not seem like that long, you might forget a lot of what you did, and so you just want to update it all the time. Oh, this would be a good example from my freshman year, from my sophomore year, junior year. Now, this is just a brain dump, so you don't need to include just perfect ideas, which there aren't even perfect ideas, but you want to include any and everything on this brain dump because you don't know what ideas might end up being really effective for a personal statement, or maybe you want to combine. It could be another example. So literally include any and everything that you find applicable to the specific topics you set up in your brag sheet brain dump. I would really suggest filling this out at least once per month, a quick check-in and reflection with yourself. You can do this on a computer. You can have Google Drive on your phone. Super easy to open Google Docs, quickly type it in, boom, you're updated. To help you remember, because once the school year starts, you'll get caught up in everything, I would suggest setting a reminder in your phone. Maybe on the last day of the month, you set it off, fill out brag sheet brain dump, and you can set reminders to repeat every week, every 2 weeks, every month. So I really suggest doing that so you don't forget. Last but not least, I really suggest having others review your brain dump because it's weird talking about yourself and sometimes you forget things also. So have family, friends, and mentors who know you well also offer suggestions. And then something I really suggest doing is having someone who doesn't go to your school or who isn't familiar with your school look over your brag sheet brain dump, because so often at schools we have so many specific programs and classes and experiences that somebody else has no clue what that is, and so you're going to have to offer some further explanation, and that's a really good practice because the admissions counselors also have no clue who you are or these programs that might be specific to your school or community. So having somebody who doesn't affiliate with your school can be really beneficial. I would have them look over the brag sheet and circle things that they have questions about, because then you know I need to make sure that I'm very specific and further elaborate once I actually write this. So this is the system. This is an example of what it looks like, something that I've created for my students, just a simple chart, breaking it off into topics, and then they can quickly add. Some of my students are color coding by year. They can go back and elaborate on ideas. Now, how do you decide what to include in this brag sheet? I'm going to go over a huge list of questions and topics I suggest including. I've built this based on my own experiences, based on brag sheets I've seen, based on the personal insight questions, Common App, college applications, the whole shebang. So it's a lot. What I really suggest doing is going with your gut when choosing which questions and topics to include. You know yourself, if a question pops up and you're like, oh my God, I have no clue on how to write that. That's not me at all. Well, maybe don't include it. Or if one instantly jumps out at you, that's a strong one, put that one at the top. So I'm not going to go through and read off all of the questions and topics. I'm going to hold on the slide for maybe about 5 seconds, and that way you can go ahead, pause the video, and then type or write down the ideas as they come up. So here we go. Here are some different topics I would suggest recording and including because, again, you might forget. I've included some specifications on certain topics that are going to be important to include. Like I mentioned in video number 1, you want to get across character traits about yourself. Again, I suggest picking 1 or 2 that really you can hit on. That's your focus central theme. So here are some common traits that colleges are looking for. I would further suggest researching the universities you're applying to. What traits are they looking for? And trying to go with the ones that fit you and fit them. Now here's going to be a long list of questions. So I'm going to refer to my tip and trick on the side over here. Some of these questions are repetitive between the universities, so what I would suggest is finding the commonalities in the questions and then find that main idea and put that on the brain dump. So for example, some commonalities tend to be obstacles, interests, and whatnot. So here are the Common App questions. Here are the UC Personal Insight questions. And last but not least, on this last slide, I have included some other questions I've compiled from different research, different points, some good ideas, some things you could also implement into your other questions. All right, so moving on. Now, how can I effectively use this outline? Some of your outlines might end up being pages and pages and pages on Google Doc. So layer 1 was just brain dump. What is all this stuff about me? What are all these ideas I can include? Any and everything. Layer 2 is that outline piece. I'm going to really suggest a mind map. And on the next slide, I'm going to go through an example of how you could set this up. What I really suggest doing is sitting out with a mind map. And then as you mind map, have your brain dump out as well. You're skimming over. Anytime you add an idea over to your mind map, highlight on your brain dump that you have included this idea. That way you're not ending up repetitive. You might also start to see the ideas that you consistently use. And so this is a really effective technique. I use this when I don't just write for personal statements, but when I write for everything. That highlighting and annotating is really helpful. So here's an example of how I would suggest mind mapping. So again, you have your brain dump sitting out, you're skimming over. I would first start in the very middle. What question or prompt am I trying to address? And with a mind map, as you build out, you get more specific. Now, this is just an outline, so this isn't going to be everything that you include in your actual answer when you write this. You're going to, on this mind map, include more than, because if this is going to help you flesh out ideas to see if you have enough detail or if it doesn't have enough to it. So after you have your question and prompt that you feel like you're going to answer, you then want to branch off and start thinking, what are the things that I could include? So I would suggest trying to aim for 3 different character traits that you could include, 3 different experiences and abilities. So these are the main ideas. So you can do more, you can do less. It depends on you and your answer. Then you got to further branch off because with a personal statement, you need to create a story about yourself. You have to include detail. You have to include specific examples. So branching off of each of these main ideas, experiences, abilities, character traits, you then want to add in the specific details about what it is you're talking about. And then on top of that, big idea, how does this experience, ability, or character trait, what is my major point about this? What am I really trying to ultimately get across to the universities by using this experience, ability, or character trait? And then how does it connect back to that central point, the question and the prompt? So this is a really effective way to go through. You're going to see that maybe I can't provide that many specific details for one of these, and therefore I'm going to exit off. That's not the idea I want to go. The point of this is this will help you flesh out ideas to see what are going to be ample enough to use for your personal statement. So I would really suggest doing this. You can do this for multiple prompts. And now what you can go ahead and do is Once you've gone through the brain dumping and the outlining, check out video number 3, tips and tricks on writing, how to then take that outline and turn it into a beautifully written personal statement that will wow admissions counselors. If you have questions, please comment below, or with a specific question you want to talk through some ideas, you can email lagoonamazing@gmail.com.